Good morning, my name is Susan Jane and I'm the Intuitist, and I found this little spot here. A boat's just gone by, so we'll get a few waves coming through, but I thought this was a good spot for me to just explain to you a little bit about my spiritual journey. Now, I want to talk to you about when I started my spiritual journey, but this is when I was aware that I was starting my spiritual journey. This is when I actually started to do the research. So what had happened was I had had 3 children in 3 years. Found out what caused it and stopped that immediately. But I was experiencing a lot of what people termed was postnatal depression. My youngest was probably 6 months old, and I basically had a 4-year-old, 3-year-old, and then a 6-month-old. So I'd actually had 3 kids within 3 years. So life was pretty full on. I also had a husband that enjoyed spending most of his evenings at the local pub, watering hole. So I did do a lot of it on my own, but my emotions were running thin. Things were getting a little bit hard for me. In this one particular morning, I can't remember how it started, but basically I was bundled into a car and told was heading to town. Now, our town was probably about an hour's drive away, 55 minutes drive away, so it was basically a day trip when you went in there. So we were going in to do some shopping, had the kids, and we must have had an argument in the car. I'm again not really sure, but he dropped me outside the doctor's surgery and basically said, get in there and get something for it. Now, I have to be honest, I didn't realise I was broken. I didn't realise there was something wrong with me. Sure, I was emotional. Sure, things were getting hard, but I was doing everything on my own. He would phone up from the pub and say, what have you put on for dinner? I would tell him, and then he wouldn't come home because he would have something at the pub instead. Now, I know I'm not the greatest cook, but it was really disheartening when you had 3 babies and you were trying to do all this on your own and appease your partner. So he's dropped me outside the surgery, and all I could think of was, well, I haven't got an appointment, so I'm not likely to get in. And anyway, I went in, and we had a new lady doctor in town, so she had spaces available, and she took me in. I only had to wait a few minutes, and she took me in, and she basically sat me down and said, so what's the problem? And I just burst into tears. I said, I don't know what the problem is. I have no idea. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why I'm here. Now, I have always been somebody who doesn't take a lot of tablets. I'm not good with that. I'm more of a naturalist type aspect. So I like to do things with herbs and that sort of area. And she took that on board. I sort of said to her, I don't want artificial stuff. If you can help me, help me. And she said to me, well, I don't really think you're experiencing postnatal depression because you don't have the signs for it. Yes, you are emotionally upset, but you don't have the signs for postnatal depression. And she said to me, however, I can see you going that way. So she gave me she was writing down all these notes, and she held up 2 pieces of paper, one in her left hand, one in her right hand. And she said to me, this one is a prescription for Valium. Now, Valium in those days was the drug of choice for women in my situation. In the other hand, she had a list of 6 books, and she said, I want you to get one of these books and read it, and then come back to me. Now, she said, I'm giving you the choice. You can take the Valium or you can take the list of books. And you've got to realise that I had 3 children under the age of 3, an alcoholic husband who didn't come home, and I lived 2 states away from my family, so I had no support. Life was pretty tough. He would make me do a shopping list, write down what I needed, and we only shopped every 4 to 6 weeks. He would add up what I needed and give me the money for it, so there was never any extra money, there was never any aspects like that. So I was doing it pretty tough. Life was pretty hard. And I looked at these books and I looked at this prescription and I knew I had to make a choice. And this choice was what would change my life. So I grabbed one of the notes and I ran with it. And I thought, I've got to do this and I can't look back. When my husband picked me up, my ex-husband picked me up, he was horrified because I took the easy way out. I grabbed that list of books, I went to the library and I started hiring 10 books at a time. I got one of the ones, which creative visualization was the first one that I grabbed that I could find, and I purchased that. And remember, I didn't have any money, so it was, you know, the kids had to go without stuff for me to do that. It wasn't an expensive book, so it was good. But the rest of the time I did library. I got everything from the library. That's when I started reading. That's when I really started to develop my intuition. That's when I started to get an understanding. And one of the biggest aspects of developing your intuition is creating that self-awareness. Because if you don't have that self-awareness, you're going to be struggling with the signs and the information that comes to you. So that was when I started my spiritual journey. I have taken bits and pieces out of books. I have got understandings that sit with me, other ones that don't. I have created the last 25 years of my life dedicated to understanding who I am, what I'm doing on this earth, and getting an understanding of how I can help other people. So that's negative, really uncomfortable, awkward situation of being dumped in front of a doctor's surgery and told to get something for it. And starting to read and develop my intuition and understand my spirituality was the best thing that ever happened to me. It was hard, it was really hard, but it was the best thing that ever happened. So find out how you can work your magic, find out how you can get your understanding. Again, how did I find the time to do the reading? You know, like when I was breastfeeding the baby, I could sit and read. I would make a sandwich for the kids, put the TV on, they could sit and have a sandwich. I was feeding the baby and I could read. I'd go to bed, I'd do a bit of reading, and whenever I could find that spare minute, that was my time, and I could get through the books that way. So that's my story about how I started to develop. I have got a lot of other areas I wanted to cover off on, but that was just the first part, and all about, I've talked about creative visualization in another blog, so have a look at that one, but this was all how I got to get to that book. So this is Susan Jane. I hope you enjoyed that, and I'm going to say bye for now and have a great day. All the best.